Vivek Ramaswamy, man, this guy is single-handedly having the most savage campaign trail right now. I don't know what's happening, but he's shaking things up, and he's going after the mainstream media with all the propaganda that they spew. Today, CNN decided to ask him what his thoughts are on Trump using the word vermin to describe the far-left extremists. And this is his response.
That language, they live like vermin. Do you believe that that is, as your Republican colleague Chris Christie has said, neo-Nazi rhetoric?
This is a classic mainstream media move. Pick some individual phrase of Donald Trump, focus on literally that word without actually interrogating the substance of what's at issue.
The word was chosen for a reason.
We are in the middle of a cultural war in this country.
The word was chosen for a reason.
It's actually describing a series of behaviors. You have Antifa and other related groups that have been burning down cities for the last 3 years in this country.
Would you describe them as vermin?
Wildly violating the rule of law. We have an invasion on our southern border. We have millions of people crossing our southern border. Let's talk about the substance of why we have to recognize that we're not in ordinary times.
Would you use that language yourself?
The vocabulary of the vermin or not is not what's important. Well, I haven't used that language. So you can look at my track record on the campaign trail. I talk about the issues. We all talk about them differently. But what I'm not going to do is play some game of focusing on some word that somebody else said without ignoring entirely the substance of what we're actually talking about.
This man, Vivek, was not playing. And I appreciate the fact that he's not allowing her to just interrupt him and cut off him making his point. He's continuing along with it, and she feeling it because she's continuing to ask the same question over and over and over in various different ways to try to get that headline. But this ain't even the best part yet. Come on, let's continue.
A border crisis of historic proportion. Economic stagnation we haven't seen in 50 years. A national identity crisis and a loss of national pride in the next generation that's potentially existential for this country. Let's talk about our dependence on China. Today we're actually talking about Xi Jinping, picking on Donald Trump's word vermin to talk about that status quo. You know what's vermin? What's running around San Francisco on a given day before Gavin Newsom cleaned it up on a dime to roll out the red carpet for Xi Jinping. If he could do that for Xi Jinping, he could have done it on an ordinary day.
True.
And yet we're here sitting talking not about the substance of that, but on one word that Donald Trump said in some speech in Miami. This is what's wrong with the mainstream media. Focus on the substance and let's have an actual policy debate rather than talking to a presidential candidate instead of the policy substance of what's actually going on in the country, picking on some word that Donald Trump said on a certain day and asking me for comment on it. Give me a break.
I ain't gonna lie. I was rooting for him to go bullshit. Boy, he been taken down. Left this media one by one, bro. I don't know what just happened. You got to agree with that. Look, man, we're not talking about anything policy. I'm a candidate, to be the next president of the United States. And you're sitting here asking me about another candidate's specific word and dismissing the context in which he used it. I mean, it's not like, he said deplorables. And to say that she got owned or wrecked or exposed, man, those are just like understatements. That was complete savagery. Her face when he had called it out initially was just like, what? Hold up. Oh man, hold up. Don't Don limit me. One of the biggest threats to left media as it relates to Vivek is the fact that he doesn't give his remarks in such a aggressive, enforcer sort of way. He gives his responses in a way that doesn't degrade them, that doesn't give them headlines. He's not hurling insults in any sort of way. So it makes it really difficult, the exchange really difficult when he's not giving them any ammo. And now we got Biden, who assails Trump's vermin remark and compares it to Nazi rhetoric, which the left has been taking this talking point and just going over and over and over with it. I'm going to show you a clip from Black Conservative Perspective. He put it together really well. President Joe Biden accuses Donald Trump of using language similar to Nazi Germany, stating that Trump referred to his political rivals as vermin. Oh, wow. Somebody got their feelings hurt is what it sounded like. Biden connects Trump's rhetoric with Nazi terminology and accuses him of dehumanizing undocumented immigrants by claiming they are poisoning the blood of America. Wow, what a way to not actually talk about what's actually happening at the border and really talk about what's dehumanizing. Biden criticizes Trump's record on jobs and links him to Supreme Court's overturning of Roe versus Wade, suggesting women voters will hold him accountable. Yo, man. Hold on. Let's take it back for a second. So remember when I said if he would have said deplorables, would it be different? What if she would have said vermin? You know, Hillary Clinton, that is. Check this clip out again.
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables.
Oh, wow. Would you have used that choice of words?
Racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it. And unfortunately, there are people like that.
The irony. A classic case of it's cool when they do it, but it's a problem when I do it. But referring back to Vivek and the CNN host, man, at a certain point in the interview, she just kind of gave up. She was just there. She was like, you know what, I know this is getting clipped. And the left has no tactics at this point other than just to try to brainwash the minds of the people by constantly using the same talking points, the same language to be able to glue it into our minds and get the talking points, you know, memorized for the people who don't decide to do any research on anything. The propaganda script is everywhere in the media. I'm gonna show y'all this clip from the Black Conservative Perspectives channel, like I promised.
In regards to comparing Trump to Hitler, take a look.
Of course, it's Trump is a Nazi time again.
Let's deal with Hitler, okay?
I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that. I mean, that is Mussolini, Hitler-like language.
Trump's affinity for Hitler was always covered under an umbrella of his stupidity.
Echoing Hitler's words.
Listen to this. Well, Hitler was duly elected.
While echoing the hateful rhetoric of Adolf Hitler.
That echoes Hitler.
That's the kind of language Hitler used in Mein Kampf.
About vermin and Hitler and Mussolini.
That's a horrifying clip. That's a fascist clip.
Just going full on Hitler.
From Hitler's Germany.
We just need to say, for the record, that the term vermin was really effectively used by Adolf Hitler.
Echo dictators like Hitler.
With language evoking authoritarian figures like Adolf Hitler and
Adolf Hitler.
Donald Trump parroted the autocratic language of Adolf Hitler.
Talk about the brilliance of Hitler's generals.
Correct.
General Kelly, yes.
Correct.
That Trump is now a dangerous hybrid clone of Mussolini and Hitler.
I will get to the Hitler.
Basically saying that language is straight out of Adolf Hitler. And
An ignorant person, when warned that Hitler used to call Jews vermin, would stop.
Using the language of Hitler and Mussolini, and there was a lot of coverage of that, Britt. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
Trump's turning up the volume.
No.
Well, I don't see Hitler and Mussolini.
The Trump enjoyed the idea of being compared to Adolf Hitler.
Very similar to how Hitler established full power.
Headline: Trump calls political enemies vermin, echoing dictators Hitler and Mussolini.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay?
Ooh, bro, at a certain point, I'm sitting there like, gosh. I mean, even if Vivek is not your candidate, you can't say that he isn't right about the media, man. They just going hard. It's crazy how the left always just wants to focus on somebody's use of a word, as if the word isn't in the dictionary or anything like that. And instead of actually talking about the context in which that word was used. So because they can't do that, they start making these comparisons to Hitler to make sure that, you know, you get media induced indoctrination in terms of how you understand Trump to be, in terms of how he's using that word. Even though it's the truth, I just don't like the way he said. At some point, you got to say, grow up.